Well then, hello everyone, and thank you for attending this session on how we promoted this very webinar. Hopefully it's going to be insightful. So just very briefly about ourselves, if you don't know us yet, well, I'm Clem, Head of Marketing at Advanced B2B, and I'm joined today by Mónika.
Hi, I'm an advertising strategist and competence lead at Advanced B2B.
A bit about Advanced, where, again, if you don't know about us yet, well, we are a strategic marketing and HubSpot agency for B2B companies looking for growth. We've been founded in 2014. We have a headquarters in Helsinki and an office in Malaga with people in 7 countries. It's about 40 plus of us at Advanced B2B with over 10 nationalities. We also have customers in Finland, UK, Estonia, Denmark, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, the US. I'm definitely forgetting some here. And we also have an average partnership of 3.5 years, which is something we're really proud of. And our longest customer relationship, which is still ongoing, is over 9 years at the moment. And as I said, we are a HubSpot partner as well. And we have this HubSpot Diamond Tier partner rating with a rating of 4.9 out of 5. And we also have onboarding and integration accreditation for HubSpot. So we know a thing or two about HubSpot. Let's put it that way. So today we'll talk about our vision for advertising, the role that this webinar plays for us, how this weird project started, the challenges and risks associated to this, again, odd project. We'll talk, of course, about our promotion plan, the execution of the plan, and then we'll share the results and the learnings from those, as well as the next steps, meaning what happens to registrants after this webinar.
Yes, let's do this. So first and foremost, how we view advertising for B2B companies, like as our clients and also for us ourselves. So why do we advertise at all? This is to experiment and learn about your ideal customer profile, especially if you are like trying to find your ideal segment or you are just starting in a new market or have a new product. The advertising is definitely a good way to reach your ICP effectively and fast and gather as much data as possible in a short time frame, and you can like learn and move on. Then with the help of advertising, you can also show how awesome you are, your products, your services, your customer references, and so on, and all the value that you provide for your prospects and customers. Our aim is also to drive leads and new users, but that's not the gist of it. The main goal for advertising is to drive growth and drive business growth, and we want that advertising becomes a high ROAS tactic in your growth engine. And my take on advertising is this is not a silver bullet. If you have a marketing problem or you have a product market fit problem, then throwing money at it won't solve your problems, but you will definitely move much faster and learn much faster than with other organic tactics.
A bit about the role that webinars play for us. Why do we even organize those anyways? The idea really is to get out there and start discussions with you, our audience. And as you can see here, of course, there is always the idea of generating leads, but we don't necessarily want to generate more leads. No one really wants this. Actually, there is a page on our website when we talk about this. You don't want more leads because more leads is just more noise. You want just more quality contacts. You want more quality discussions in a sense. So this is also what we want. We want to stay top of mind for B2B tech companies, which is obviously our target audience. And as I said, starting discussion. So it's all about placing us in front of you. So people in front of people. And then when those discussions have happened, of course, we want to nurture contacts into potential customers. I see a hand raised. If you have questions, please send them in the chat. We'll either answer right away if it's relevant to answer now, or we'll just take all the questions at the end. But just put the questions in the chat and we'll cover all of those at the end. or momentarily. So why even present such a silly session? Well, as says here, why not? The idea really is to reach our ICP audience, so you. Of course, we also wanted to challenge ourselves with something a bit different and something that's a bit more fun and still aligned with our business goal, because we're here to talk about how we promoted this webinar. And of course, this is also something we do for, well, ourselves and also our customers. How do we promote things? So it's also important for us to show how we work. And of course, ultimately, the goal is to show that we are a good partner. We want to convince more B2B tech companies regarding our expertise and show what we can do and how we do it.
Okay, so the genesis of the project, how this idea came to be. Well, this webinar was not kind of born, like the idea wasn't born last month or not even this year. We had a chat with Clem, I think like 2 years ago, almost, that we didn't want to do.
Sorry.
We didn't want just to do like another webinar that is part of a webinar series and like, yeah, boring stuff. We wanted to do something fun and unique and that also adds value to our like target market and that you can just learn from it. Then I think this end of or early summer, we took a leap of faith and went with it with all the risks and and challenges. So yeah, as I said earlier, 2 years later, we are here in the execution phase and talking about the results.
Of course, this has quite many challenges and risks because, as I said, I mean, we are a marketing agency, so we are supposed to know a few things about marketing. So higher the risk, higher the reward, question mark, yes. Of course, the risk for us was low registration and very high no-show rate as well. So how do we ensure that we would get enough registrations to call this a success? We'll cover this part in more details when we cover the results, but that was the main stress, I guess, for us. But yeah, first, how do we get there? Well, the original plan, as Mónika said, the first discussion started about 2 years ago, and then you know how it gets. Different projects come in the way, and then we just decided to bench this a little bit. But we just started to work on this again in July this year. And then so we worked on the scope of the webinar, then we wanted to work on the content, start working on the promotion plan, promotion assets, and then run the promotion in October. That was the original plan. And we're happy with this. The actual execution of the plan, okay, it's not that different, and we'll see that in a sec, but a bit of a disclaimer also, we didn't really go crazy, even though I had this video that I posted on LinkedIn, maybe some of you saw this. But yeah, our media budget was 800 euros for this, and we wanted to do something reasonable money-wise in terms of media budget, because we also want to show what's possible essentially with a low budget, and we just wanted to follow best practices that we know work so that you can also reproduce them easily. But yeah, so this is the actual execution of the plan. So as you can see, not much change from the previous slide. The only thing that changed, of course, is the content, because, well, obviously we are presenting the results also in this presentation. So we had to go back to the presentation to, of course, update the results. So we had to go back to this, like actually we went back to this morning to update the latest results. And then also like we got a bit too optimistic with the production of the promotion assets, simply because, well, we are a marketing agency and the priority for us is obviously our customers. And our designers had their hands full for quite a little bit. So yeah, that's the only reason. But in the end, we got everything out in time, and we were very, very happy with this. And thank you so much, Leda and Helmi, for taking the time to help us with this. But yeah, and then the promotion ran in October and up till this day. And yeah, if we just go back to the original, not much changed. So
Yeah, but this is the reality of
Yes,
like a marketing agency.
We just wanted to show that like it's never nothing ever goes as planned, even though you plan ahead of time. But still, very important point here for us to share is like a webinar might not sound like much, but it does represent a lot of work, especially if you have a lot of people involved. So it's very important to plan ahead if you want things to go according to plan or somewhat according to plan.
Yeah. So I can see that in the chat there is a question about which channels have you used. We actually now go through all that. So starting with the paid media plan, we chose three channels. LinkedIn is historically has been a strong channel, generating us really high quality leads, opportunities, customers, and so on. So most of the budget went there. Then we put in the mix Meta for some exposure, and with that kind of reservation that lead quality might not be as as high as in LinkedIn, but still we got you will see like at the end we got quite good numbers from it, and then we started experimented with Reddit, which is this was a channel that we haven't used a lot in our campaigns and yeah, in general. So we just wanted to see what we can do with a relatively small budget.
And of course, we had the other channels, the ones we own, well, our website, social accounts, and our emails. So on the website, we had some CTAs. We also had some banners. For instance, also if you were downloading a piece of content on our website and then you land on the thank you page, we added some like reminder CTA, like, hey, join our next event. And this generated also interesting results. Obviously posted some from our social accounts, as I said, from the company account, but also from our own accounts, because people like to talk to people, not necessarily just to companies. Sent email to our database. We'll cover that also a little bit after, and then obviously relied on word of mouth and plugging the idea that, hey, we have this webinar coming in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, do attend. This is something also that was discussed in, for instance, many sales meetings that we had this month.
All right, so getting into the meat of the webinar. So talking about the ads and like what made the cut. Before I get into the results, I want to highlight the importance of copywriting and high quality copywriting because we are so like lucky and here at Advance B2B, I've been working with so talented copywriters and at Advance, and also I think that as an advertiser, the very best or one of the very best skills you can hone is copywriting. This putting it out there, let's take a look at the copies. So on LinkedIn, we had 5 variations, and you can see the top 2 here. We experimented with longer ones, longer copies, and some shorter ones. Later you will see. And we had 4 visual variations for which we also like organized a brand photo shoot. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't just for this webinar, but it was definitely helping. So good quality pictures of your people is definitely essential. Then going into the copy, as I said, so the top performing one was not the highest CTR, I have to say, and probably the most like I would say like professional one. Are webinars still relevant for B2B companies? Some kind of pitching question, and then yes, join us for a quick session, and how we promote our own stuff and how we promoted this webinar. That's like the kind of value proposition. And the second best performing was this right side ad with it's a bit more like quirky and like risky move. Oh yes, exciting, hell yeah. Yeah, it was actually risky, and we were hoping that people sign up, and you did, so happy about that. Then the ones that didn't perform that well, and there was this one with my own face, with 6 reasons to attend our webinar. It's free. Maybe you learn a thing or two. You'll spend some time in good company and so on. So it was a really like a funny take, and I think, as you can see from the number of new contacts, it didn't really resonate that much. Then there is like Laughing Clem and Scared Clem with some much shorter copies. So I would say that these are like, now I wouldn't say that they were like a miss, but definitely the first 2 ones were much, much stronger. And so this is the like number wise on the ads. Then if I take a look at the targeting, we had an audience size of 36,000 people. And with that budget that we had for LinkedIn, we got like 30.5% audience penetration. This means that we could have like given much more budget to it, or run the campaign much longer. But in general, I'm happy with the result. And what's more important is the like who we actually reached. And our ICP is technology, information, and internet companies, IT services, and IT consulting and business consulting companies. And most of the clicks did come from these industries. So in this sense, also the campaign was a success. And I took a look at the job titles. The most clicked ones are head of marketing, CMOs, digital marketing managers, head of communications, and so on. So quite high up in the marketing organization, and we are definitely really happy about those. And one more thing that I didn't put the data here on the slide, but I checked the demography report on like the countries, and we got the highest CTR from Finland, which is not surprising because we are based in Helsinki, and our brand is known in Helsinki, and most of the customers are from like Finland, but most of the clicks came from Sweden. So I guess Clem can do something about that with that information.
Invade Sweden. Let's try that.
All right, so let's.
I just want to, there are a few questions. Did we launch all of the ads at once? Yes, we did. Where did you get the idea for this being risky? Well, it was risky because, well, if essentially there would be, I don't know, 15 registrations total and then 5 people showing up, that makes us look bad as a marketing agency because we're supposed to be able to promote like, you know, webinars and such things. So that's the risky part. But yeah, you'll see if you stay until the end, we'll cover the results and maybe we made it, you know. Yeah. Are you saying that the pictures or the texts are the reason for different behavior? Well, it's like it's a one-off campaign type of thing, but
I'd say
what you can see is like it's a combination of both because clearly like this picture, at least this visual, got the most new contact generated. This is not just submissions, just new contacts, so people didn't necessarily know about us. And yeah, just maybe that the audience didn't react well enough when it came to like, you know, funny copy or something like this.
If we come back to these, like out of like this visual definitely performed the best, and also the difference was so big, like between the generated contacts here, that like here the copy was definitely like between these two, the deciding one. Where do you see audience penetration? That's I think in the reach or delivery like breakdown on your LinkedIn ads platform.
Then last question before we continue. Never tried about Reddit, never tried but want to. Was it easy to set the advertising account? How granular is the target? Do they have tracking?
Yeah, it's easy to set up, and the targeting is different there because you can use keywords, which we used. Also, you can use subreddit targeting, which I also like and had some really good successes with my customers, especially in employer branding. And yes, they do have tracking. They have a Reddit pixel.
Meta.
Yes. For Meta, we had just three variations. One with us together, then laughing Clem and scared Clem. And here, what was interesting is that the best performing one was the middle one, where Clem is laughing, generating us most of the contacts of this campaign. And it shows to me that humor is a good thing, or it can work quite well in LinkedIn as well. But when it comes to numbers, the most professional one was the one in LinkedIn, and then in Meta, Facebook, Instagram, it's different context. So you can get away with a bit more laid back copy as well. So yeah, quite much higher CTRs than on LinkedIn, which is somehow, or not somehow, but it is expected. But yeah, this was also a success at the end. Then after 2 successful channels, we can go to Reddit. We had two variations up here, and I was hoping that this will resonate because Reddit is even more laid back than Facebook. We got a huge amount of clicks, altogether 400 and over 450 clicks, but we didn't get any new contacts in the pipeline. So there's that. This was we tried the keyword targeting, so we were targeting keywords like marketing, advertising, and around that sphere. But it didn't really resonate. So we killed this campaign quite early, unfortunately.
What's interesting is that we had an average time on page from Reddit ads of four minutes something. So if it's bots, it's new type of bots, because in the past bots used to be you can really see them because they have an average time of on page under a second or something. So this is very interesting. We have to maybe investigate a bit further, but fact of the matter is we didn't really get anything from Reddit this time.
Yeah, but we learned, and in this way, this is not a failure, and I don't see experiments as you either succeeded or you learned something, and this is definitely something that we learned. Yeah.
And then we have this organic promotional video. The sound should be working, but if it doesn't, then there is some subtitles.
Hey, how's the promotion going?
So this is a video that we promoted.
Oh yeah, targeted and on budget, all good.
Yes, good.
Yeah, so it's Clem. So how badly did we go over budget for the webinar? Oh. Join us on October 29th on how we promoted this webinar. Register on advancedb2b/next webinar.
It might be a bit misleading because we didn't really go that much. We didn't go crazy, so. But yeah, the idea was just to generate some attention, some attention around the webinar. And that was filmed using very simple stuff, like a phone. There is this app I really like. It's not sponsored in any way, but I really like this app for at least iPhone. It's called Epoch Cam Pro, and you can just turn your phone into a webcam if you want, for your meetings as well. Works pretty flawlessly. Actually, this is what we're using at the moment. So, and then some Adobe tools for some effects and sound improvement. Yeah, so we also send emails to our database. We this time chose to send 3 emails, 2 weeks prior, 1 week prior, and then yesterday. So here you can see that the open rates are from meh to okay. The open rate you see on the left is basically the email, like the open rate, including like all of our subscribers, also subscribers that are really not responding so much with our content anymore. So that's basically people with like low engaged contacts that have not opened our previous 11 emails. So we just keep emailing or inviting our low engaged contacts to our events because, well, we want them there to begin with. But then if we just look at our engaged audience, then we have an open rate that's a bit more acceptable, at least for those webinar invites of like 25, 24, 20, yeah, 24% again. So yeah, we got like interesting results overall from our emails. And you'll see a bit later that there is a little bit of a fudge up from my part, but I'll cover this a little bit later. We, of course, also relied on our coworkers because beyond our customers, of course, our best brand ambassadors are our coworkers. Because
shout out to advancers.
Yes, thank you so much for this. Now, of course, the problem is always time when asking for a favor to your coworkers. So the way we do it, at least, highly recommend everyone else to do this as well, is to create ready social posts that your colleagues can use. And what's interesting here is that I can see some bits and pieces of those ready posts that we created for this, for our coworkers, but they really made them their own. And that's also why probably it resonated a lot better with their own audience, because they just like got maybe inspired a little bit, but they just like wrote their own messages. But in the end, yeah, it just generated quite many contacts for us and also led to 21 registrations. So that's, again, thank you so much for this. What didn't make the cut? Well, that's a bit of a bummer type of thing. We like memes and we all often use them also in our like organic game. But when it comes to using memes in advertising, that's a bit different. There's a bit of a gray area because, of course, for instance, here top right of the screen, you see a meme from The Lord of the Rings. Well, that belongs to Jeff Bezos now. So we didn't want Jeff Bezos to, or, lawyers or whatever, to give us a call to tell us to take it down. So we did not use that meme, or for instance, that this is something that really makes me laugh, that poor little character poking something with a stick, come and do something and register. I really wanted to use that as well, but same here. We don't own the rights to use this, so we didn't use it in our ads, but we did in our organic promotion. There's also this idea from, I'll just put her, yeah, I'll just expose her like this. Sari, our CEO, wanted to, or had the idea of using maybe a hot air balloon advertising over Helsinki, but it turns out that it was ridiculously expensive, so we didn't. And of course, yeah, we always want to do more teaser videos, but maybe we got a bit too optimistic and some required a bit too much post-production, so we didn't go along with it. But there's always so much more that we could do, but you know how it gets. Time always gets in the way.
Yeah.
The chicken costume.
Yes.
The registration process and assets. So this is also something I wanted to show. So the behind the scenes a little bit. So how do we manage webinars here at Advance? So essentially, if you've registered and you've seen it, you went through it in a sense. We have this unique registration page, which is like advanceb2b.com/next-webinar, simply to make it easier to promote like whatever webinar we're working on. It's always going to be the same page. And we actually have an organic page, which is like next webinar, and then a page that we only use for advertising. And on that page, we simply remove the navigation to just move the visitors like quicker to what we expect from them, in a sense, as you're not learning this from me. Then, of course, we have the registration form on the page, which is a HubSpot form. And then that leads to a thank you page with an incentive to add the event to your calendar so that you make it here today. And then reminder emails from Zoom, which is the platform we're using, and then HubSpot as well. Now, how we deal with registrations, this is on the workflow side of things. You might have something that's more elaborated than this, but this is working for us. So maybe I thought it could be interesting to share that with you. So we have this integration with Zoom in our workflow. So essentially, if you fill the HubSpot form, you are added to this Zoom webinar. We have this integration with Slack that then notifies us when someone registers to the webinar. And then we have, as part of the workflow, reminders and thank you emails sent from Zoom and HubSpot as well. Now, there's something also, and that's actually part of the fudge up from my part, but essentially we didn't want to spam you. So we created a temporary exclusion list on HubSpot. So essentially in our invitation emails 1 and 2, we had at the bottom a text saying, if you're not interested in joining, click this link, and then you would be automatically added to the HubSpot exclusion list. But I did not update that list for, or I did not update the exclusion list, or like I didn't add the exclusion list for the third email. So essentially everyone received the third email, even if you were already registered. So good job, me. But the idea, at least behind this exclusion list, is just to be nice. We don't want to spam especially if you tell us I'm not interested in this. So why would we push an event on you again, even though I did? Sorry. And the results.
Yeah, let's get to it. So what did we expect from this webinar when we came up with this idea? So based on the budget and the topic, we were hoping that it extends out enough. And we were hoping for 70 to 80 registrations, somewhere around there. And the show rate close to 40%. And I can happily announce that we went over the expectations. So all channels generated 13 registrations, which is like, yeah, I don't know how many percent more than the original. Out of these all channels, the paid ones, so LinkedIn generated 24, Meta 30, and Reddit 0. And when it came to the cost per registration, to the amount spent, we came to like 16.68 euros per registration. So, and if we compare that with the previous webinar in September, I guess, then that was closer to 30. So this was definitely a win on this side. Then if we take a look at owned media, we got 36 signups from emails, 24 from organic social, which is, I guess, not every company has those like really engaged employees who take that like time to post. And yeah, and another shout out to advancers, and definitely recommend all companies to implement like the tactic that Clem used, that you just make your pre-made post and people can just post it. Then direct traffic came to 5 registrations and other sources 3.
Now, some things that did not go so well. Wait, are you happy with Zoom for registration as a webinar platform? That's a question that was asked. Yes, I mean, it works. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, the most like user-friendly platform. Like it doesn't look as sharp as more modern or like, I don't know, other platforms, but it works. At least I've never had like massive technical issues with it. So I would say that's the line for me in a sense. But yes, so as I said, we have a few F-ups. That's something that was a bit odd, but basically for the first few days, I think 2 or 3 days after we started promoting the webinar, probably a few of you saw that page after filling the form. You would be redirected to the thank you page of one of our ebooks, which was interesting because the right thank you page was configured. But anyways, essentially just saved the form again, and that fixed it. But that was a bit of an annoying situation. Again, no biggie. That other thing I said earlier, sending the last email invite also to already registered contacts. So sorry about that. And of course, there is this missed opportunity on Reddit, even though, yes, we're learning from it, but it is still a bit frustrating to see like so much engagement, but then no result behind it. Even though there is, of course, the ghost of potential bots around here.
Yeah.
With such high numbers for no registration, but that's still something that is a bit of a bummer. The current show up rate, I think we're about 40 at the moment, but then I think it's something we will have to see like after this webinar because well, some people come and leave. We currently see basically that there are 41 people online, but then it goes up, it goes down as people join and leave the webinar. So I think we're closer to 40, or we're close to 40, so that's pretty interesting. What other platforms are affordable for occasional webinars? I mean, Zoom is not, so I can't remember how much we're paying for this, but like, I think Zoom is in the plus, like in the good side of things for occasional webinars, I would assume. Top of my head, I can't think of something else, but I can get back to you if you want. MS Teams is a webinar option. I'm really not familiar with webinar with Microsoft Teams, sadly.
There was Webinar Geek and Vimeo as well. Yeah.
I used to use Webinar Jam, but that was like 6 or 7 years ago. It was a bit rusty or a bit sharp on the edges, but it was pretty cheap. I don't know how it is. Like they probably updated their pricing since, but you could also look into this. And Vimeo also is suggested in the chat. Now for the next steps, well, I assume you will agree with this, but one-off marketing activities are a waste of time and probably a waste of money as well, because you always need to have a follow-up plan to make the most out of the time and the resources that you have. And that's also something that applies to us. So basically what we want to do after this webinar, or what's happening as we speak, is essentially for everyone who registered and also attended the webinar, we will have some lead scoring update. We will have obviously some follow-up for whoever showed up and didn't show up. We will send the replay. We will send the slides. Also, so a question about this. Yes, we will send the presentation. And we also have nurturing programs running in the background. So if you qualify for those, you will enter a nurturing program and hear more from us. So yes, so as I said, full disclaimer, we do nurture all leads with the hope of obviously turning interested leads into customers. We're just being like transparent here. So this is just a screenshot of the bottom of the workflow we have running on HubSpot for this very webinar. And essentially based on whether you are a subscriber or non-subscriber, or if you are already considered a MQL or plus in our funnel, then you will be following different paths and enter our nurturing. And having said that, also, if you're interested in learning more about nurturing on HubSpot, we actually just published a blog post to explain how we do nurturing on HubSpot. So you can just head to our blog post, advancedb2b.com/blog, and we have this blog post on how we use HubSpot for nurturing. And we explain our evil nurturing plan here. So you might find that interesting, even though, yes, we are an agency, but in the end, nurturing works. Like there are ways to do nurturing in a sense. Let me say it that way. But yeah, so we are reaching at least the end of this presentation. Of course, if you have more questions, just pop them in the chat. But if you want to see more stuff like this, well, you can, of course, become an Advanced Insider on advancedb2b.com/Advanced Insider. Advanced Insider is essentially the fancy name for our newsletter. And you will receive, our latest content, our latest podcasts, our latest webinars, and such things. So if you have questions, remarks, shoot. And yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
and if not, you can also email us. Our email is on the screen.
Yeah, or LinkedIn or anywhere.
Did you enter the new leads from the webinar to a new nurturing workflow or use the same as any other lead would enter? Wait, I'm not sure I get this.
So if somebody signed up, did they end up in the new nurturing workflow automatically?
Okay, well, we have workflows for the webinars. Then, of course, if you are already being nurtured as we speak, then well, you won't restart the nurturing workflow in a sense. Why didn't you turn us into insiders automatically? Because GDPR.
It's not nice.
when you fill our forms, you can tick or not tick, you know, like the usual, like, hey, I want to hear more of this. Yes, because GDPR. But you add us to nurturing regardless. Well, this is like part of also GDPR. It's like the, what's it called? The not general
legitimate interest.
Yes, legitimate interest. Like if you show interest, then you can always unsubscribe, of course, and we will not chase you, or we might, but we won't email you.
Are there any other questions?
Because I'll just add, actually, it's also linked to our nurturing, because nurturing eventually ends, and you know, if you don't respond, then you will stop receiving the emails, or of course, if you unsubscribe, you will stop receiving the emails. But then the newsletter is technically forever, so we need your consent for this. We can't just like add you to our emailing lists if you didn't want to receive them in the first place.
Yeah.
But if there are not more questions, I guess we can call it a day.
Yeah.
45 minutes. We're right in the promised time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you,
thanks
everyone.
for everyone. Yeah.
And thank you for good questions.
Yeah.
Hope we answered properly.
Yeah, and shoot us a message if you want to.
So there might have been like a little bug because I see a few attendees with my name also, which is interesting.
Quite a few.
Yeah. We'll figure this out.
Is 45 minutes and the optimal time?
I mean, no, the optimal time is the time you need to say what you need to say. If it's 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. And yeah, anything beyond 45, I think, is a bit risky because, of course, time is precious. So it's difficult to get people in a room for more than 45 minutes, but it doesn't have to be 45.
Yeah, and also attention spans are limited. And like after an hour, definitely.
Alrighty. Well, then, thank you, everyone, and have a great day. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon, and you will hear from us. No, we'll actually send you the replay and then the slides, most likely either today or tomorrow. But yeah, that's going to come to your inbox.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.